What's up, dogs? First of all, if I look a bit funny today, it's probably going to be because I had no sleep last night. None whatsoever. Didn't get any sleep at all. Been awake all night. So I'm feeling a bit weird. Now, as some of you will know, I broke up with my girlfriend earlier this year and I've been dating again. Incidentally, if there are any women watching this who are into philosophers with long hair, please send me a message. Seriously. But anyway, I've been dating again, and so I've been thinking about the different types of relationships that people have. And one type of relationship that you sometimes come across is friends with benefits. So this is the idea that there are people who are friends and they have sex with each other, but they're not in a romantic relationship. They're just friends who are having sex with each other. That's the idea. But I really struggled to understand what this means. This just seems to me to be completely incoherent. Because the way that I have always thought about this, a romantic relationship is just by definition a friendship plus sex. If you're in a romantic relationship with somebody, what that actually amounts to is you're friends with them and you're having sex with them. You have friendship plus physical intimacy. In which case, the idea that there could be such a thing as friends with benefits, which is different from a romantic relationship, wouldn't make any sense. On my view, then, what distinguishes a romantic relationship from a friendship, from a mere friendship, let's say, is sex. So I guess the question is, well, what else could distinguish romantic relationships from friendships? If you think that the notion of friends with benefits is coherent, what exactly is it that distinguishes a romantic relationship from a friendship in your view? And so here are some ideas that I just thought of. One possibility might be love. You might say, well, in the case of a romantic relationship, the two people love each other, whereas that's not the case with a friendship. So friends with benefits would be two people who are friends, who are having sex, but they don't love each other. Now, the problem I have with this is, surely you do love your friends, don't you? I mean, I mean, like, there is a difference between the love that you have for a friend and the love that you have for a romantic partner. But to me, that difference consists precisely in the fact that the love for a romantic partner is sexual love. It includes a kind of a sexual lust on the part of both people. So maybe then you might say, well, okay, it's not simply love that distinguishes a romantic relationship from a friendship, but the strength of the love. In the case of a romantic relationship, it's not just that the two people love each other; it's that they really love each other. They very, very strongly. They have a very, very deep attachment to each other. Again, though, I don't think this works. Partly because I think you can have these very deep attachments to your friends. I can be a lifelong friend with somebody. Maybe I've been a friend with somebody since we were just little kids. We've grown up together, gone to the same school together. We talk about everything together. I mean, that's going to involve a very, very deep and powerful attachment. That's going to be a very strong kind of love. So, some friendships are very, very close, and actually some romantic relationships are not so close. There are people whose relationships maybe are temporarily on the rocks, and maybe they're starting to fall out of love with each other, but they're still in a romantic relationship. So I don't think that love can do the job of distinguishing romantic relationships from friendships. Another possibility is exclusivity. So you might say that in a romantic relationship, there's a sort of agreement that you're only going to have sex with each other, whereas that's not the case with friends with benefits. A romantic relationship involves a kind of sexual exclusivity. You're only going to be with each other sexually. Again, this I think doesn't work because there are all sorts of people who are in polyamorous relationships or open relationships. Many romantic relationships are not sexually exclusive. And furthermore, presumably, it would be possible, if you think that the notion of friends with benefits makes sense, presumably it would be possible to have a friends with benefits relationship where the friends agree with each other not to have sex with other people. Disease prevention would be a perfectly legitimate practical reason not to have sex with other people. So exclusivity, again, I don't think that does the job. Third possibility is duration. So a romantic relationship, you might say, is intended to continue for an indefinite amount of time. Whereas if you're friends with benefits, there's an assumption that this is just going to be a kind of brief thing, that it's not going to last for that long. Maybe you're just doing it temporarily until you find a romantic relationship or whatever. But in the case of a romantic relationship, you're together and you intend to remain together for a very long period of time, for an indefinite period of time. I mean, maybe even for your whole lives. Again, I don't think this works. I might, for instance, meet somebody and I know that they're going to return to Japan after 6 months, and we both agree that a long distance relationship, or at least that kind of long distance relationship, just isn't going to work for us. But we might still have a romantic relationship over those 6 months that we can be together. You can have a romantic relationship that is not intended to last for an indefinite amount of time. So I don't know. I mean, so those were just some thoughts, some possible ways in which we might distinguish romantic relationships from friendships, and I don't think any of those ways work. It seems to me that the way we distinguish romantic relationships from friendships is that in the case of a romantic relationship, you're having sex. That's what it is. A romantic relationship is just a friendship with sex. So I've actually drawn a little graph here. I don't know if you can see that. There you go. There's a little graph of the different types of relationships that you might have with other people. So we've got romantic relationships, fuck buddies, various types of platonic relationships, and acquaintances. And so, obviously, friends there goes in the box where there's no sex, but there is emotional intimacy. And if you add sex, then you get a romantic relationship. So that's my way of looking at things. Now, obviously, one big problem with this taxonomy is presented by asexuals, because I believe that there are many people who are asexual but not aromantic. So there are asexuals who still have romantic feelings, or at least they claim they still have romantic feelings, and they still engage in romantic relationships. So in that case, my view that a romantic relationship is just a friendship plus sex would be wrong. But I really struggle to, I guess I just really struggle to understand what this kind of asexual romance would be. So I guess, one way to answer the question of what distinguishes a romantic relationship from a friendship, if not sex, would be to figure out what asexual romance is supposed to consist in. So, if there are any asexuals watching this, maybe you could explain how romance works for you. I guess, part of the problem is it just seems to me like everything that you do in a romantic relationship, you can do with a friend, except the sex, right? The sex is the one thing that you get in a romantic relationship that you don't get with a friend, right? Like everything else you do, where you can talk about your deepest feelings with your friends. You can even talk about sex with your friends. You can go to the zoo with a friend. You can go out for a meal with a friend. Watch a movie with a friend. You can play a game of cards with a friend. Go hiking with a friend. All of these things, all of the things that you might do with a romantic partner, you can do with a friend, except the sex. So obviously, when I do something with a romantic partner, it's different from doing it with a friend. So when I have a meal with a romantic partner, that's different than having a meal with a friend. Or if I go to the zoo with a romantic partner, that's different from going to the zoo with a friend. But again, it just feels to me like that difference is the fact that with the romantic partner, it's like we're having sex, and we're going to be having sex later, maybe. There's this kind of lust involved. There's a sexual element to it. So even when we're kind of walking around at the zoo, I sort of know that I know we've had sex and we're going to have sex again later, and that is what creates a different dimension to the experience. So I don't know, maybe I'm just sort of obsessed with sex, and that's why I can't. That's all romance is to me, which is maybe suggesting that I have a bit of a one-track mind. But that's just some thoughts there on relationships. So yeah, I'm curious how you think we should distinguish romantic relationships from friendships, if not by the fact that romantic relationships involve sex. And that's all. Goodbye.